I grew up knowing a gallery space. I've always been interested in paintings and objects and collected things all my life. As a school child, I collected stamps and cheese labels and traded them. So I've always been a trader. I'm told that my first real interest in art was at about 2.5, when obviously my mother had taken me to my father's gallery, and apparently I grabbed a little bronze wolf and insisted on taking it home with me, and it's still sitting in the kitchen here. Father had a gallery in Cambridge. During my teens, he had a gallery called the King Street Gallery, which did shows of contemporary artists, some of which I've gone on collecting simply because I grew up knowing them. Having left school, I went away from what my father did and became an accountant for 4 or 5 years. And I was working as an accountant. And one summer, my father was ill. And I took my 3 week summer holiday to come and look after the gallery in Cambridge. And at the end of those 3 weeks, I rang my boss and said, would he double my salary? And he said, get lost, Simon. So I said, okay, I'm not coming back. And I've been here ever since. In the sale, you will see there's a whole collection of Roderick Barrett pieces. Once I was dealing on my own, I regularly bought Roderick Barrett's pictures simply because they were cheap and I really liked them. But it got to the stage where they suddenly started to make money and I sold the whole collection. But I've gone on buying them back. So I've still got Roderick Barrett's, a number of which are in the sale. One of my favourite pieces is the Epstein bust of Isabel. Isabel was Epstein's model in the early 30s and became pregnant by Epstein. One of the artists I'm particularly fond of is a man called Peter Schmidt. I was driving back from London one day and I saw a sign saying art fair, and I'd been near Hertford, and I did a detour and went, and there was absolutely nothing there except one picture I really quite liked, and I said, who's that by? And the chap who'd got it said it's by a man called Peter Schmidt. And it turned out he'd bought the remains of Peter Schmidt's studio, which were all in a chicken house in his garden. So I bought the collection, some of which I've sold, but the remains of which are now in your sale. I'm selling now because I'm spending 4 or 5 months of the year in France. I'm thinking of developing a barn I've got in Norfolk into an extension of the house. And the barn is full of a lot of pictures. This collection comprises pictures that I've bought because I liked them. Over the years, I've learnt never to buy a picture I didn't like. If I didn't sell it, I could still hang it on the wall and enjoy it. So therefore, I've never bought things from a purely commercial value point of view. I've bought them because I actually liked the objects. And it's the pleasure the objects give me that has actually sustained my life over the years. One of the pleasures of my life has been sitting in this room, which has got my art library around it. And I come up here to do research on something I've bought. And I sit in this chair with a book on my lap. And 4 hours later, I've gone through 5 or 6 other books because there happened to be one next to that one that was really interesting. And that's the pleasure that the life of dealing has actually given me. Yes, I would do it all again. I've enjoyed every moment. I've had periods when I've been flush. I've had periods when I've been totally skint. But I've always managed to scrape by. A lot of it actually stems back. There's a little story from my childhood. I was at boarding school and I came home at the end of term with a pile of art books. And my father said, where did you get the money to buy those art books? He said, you're only on 2 and 6 a week pocket money. I said, there's a boy in our study whose father is a racehorse trainer at Newmarket, and he goes home at weekends and he comes back with a list of horses that are going to do okay next week. And I said, we've been betting with William Hill they don't know that we're only 14. I said, we've been betting with William Hill putting postal orders in little brown envelopes and getting larger postal orders back when the horses succeed. And my father said, "You're a fool." He said, "If you go to a race meeting," he said, "the people with the Rolls Royces are the bookmakers." He said, "If you go on betting, you're actually going to lose everything in the end." He said, "If you're really interested in horse racing, I'm quite happy to take you away from school, stop paying your fees, and apprentice you to a bookmaker." But he said, "If you become a picture dealer and you buy a picture, sometimes you'll sell it at a profit and sometimes you'll sell it at a loss, but you'll always have something back to buy the next one."